we're going. It's going. Why are you mute? You're scaring me.
Look, I can touch him. I can touch him.
Yes,
we're in person. That's what I was doing. I was just waiting for it to be weird, just because I can actually look at that. I can touch him. We're in person. I'm here in Tennessee. Woo!
It's all like a weird thing.
Thank you, guys. So 2 things. Yes, we're a little bit late, but then also Facebook has totally changed its interface. I guess some of you already know that Facebook did like I guess an update or something. So the whole interface on our end, and we had to go through the whole process of like redoing the technicals again. So that's why we're super late today. But of course we are here and we're doing it, and we're going to do our best to get through this. So praise the Lord, huh? All right, well, let's jump on into it because we are super behind, and we do want to get to everybody's comments on this video. It's Daniel, as you guys can see, 7 through 12. See, look, I can actually point below us, where before my hands just get cut off. This is so nice to be here in person with the Mr. Lavosky.
All right, if you guys experience any weird technical difficulties, give us a shout, but things look stable from here now, so.
And I'm using the same microphone, so I should definitely not sound like Kermit the Frog here.
Yep, if any one of us starts sounding like Kermit the Frog, then you know it's
super weird.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
Okay,
Here
we go. And general comments, we'll start off. Jennifer Connolly, I don't believe my questions were read last time. I was on the live EBRT, but didn't realize it until I was going over the notes today. I hope that this isn't happening to those who are new to the group. Yeah, us too, Jennifer. If there was any comments missed last time, it's certainly not on purpose. Hopefully Facebook is not eating people's comments.
We actually had a few people that we thought commented, and now we can't see their comments. So there might be something going on. So hopefully not, though. If not, then you can always post them in next week's, and we will do a prior. We'll do comments on the prior video, so it'll get mentioned some way, shape, or form. So thank you, Jennifer, for letting us know. And yeah, that's no idea why that might have happened.
Kiki is asking a question. Do you read and quote from the King James Version? If not, what versions do you prefer? We do indeed read from the King James Version during the videos most of the time, because it also has the concordance, and that's the one we use to read when we are getting ready for the videos. That's the one I read as well. That's the one Nathan reads.
Well, just to be clear, because there's a lot of concordances. So we read from a thing called e-sword.net, and it's an app that you can download. On that, it has a King James Version that has numbers next to each word, which is a Strong's concordance. That is a concordance I preferably prefer. It's based off of the Masoretic, and so that is the version that we prefer here, at least myself. I don't know what Alex prefers, but that's what I prefer. So that's the main thing in which we are using as of now. Sorry, I just like to bump you, man, now that I'm here. So yeah, just because there's clarities that mean differences. So
there are so eSword is a good place to get many different versions of the Bible, including King James with the concordance. Also, if you want, you can go to biblehub.net, I believe. That's a good place to get different versions of the Bible and the concordance. So lots of tools available for us today to be able to really get into studying the Bible. Okay. I don't know about Kermit the Frog, but I'm expecting to see a Teletubby walking up behind you too.
It is very green, that is for sure. Very green background. All right.
So here we are. Daniel 7.
Dun, 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 dun.
Would you like to read it?
No, you go.
Okay.
You always kick us off. I like it.
All right, here we go. Sabrina Gillis, 7, verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Looks like we're almost there.
Could be.
Yeah. Okay.
Better burps.
Yes, thank you.
A burpee.
Like a little baby.
Yes,
Put
like
me
a-
over the shoulder.
Yes, a burpee like the little baby. It's okay.
You want to read the next one, or should
Sure. Sabrina. And they shall be given, this is 725, and they wait. Let me get my, since we have a professional microphone, let me do my radio voice.
Take two.
Take two. And they shall be given into his hands until a time and a times and the dividing of times. I looked up the Hebrew word for the time in Esword. Is that very good? It's year.
I'm giggling because you don't get
ridiculous.
to use a pro mic.
I know, this is fantastic. If only I could hear myself back, but we're totally trusting on this one.
You sound good here in my
that's
ear.
good. And the English translation says time and times, the second times plus s's, like more than one plural. So I looked up at the two in Esword, but there it says the same as the first word time without the s plural. So time and time equals 2 years. And then the dividing of times means half a year. So in total, 1 + 1 year and a half year equals 2.5 years, question mark.
So it's time, times, and half a time. And generally, the way I am persuaded to interpret that is you've got 1 unit of time, then you've got at least 2 units of time, right? Times, and then half a time. I'm persuaded to think that that means 3.5 years.
Right. But even though you said it's you said that it's the same word, so do you want to go to the Esword and see if it is the same word, just so we can address that part of the comment?
So let's do this.
What's up? So fancy! Look, we have the Esword above our head.
We have it. Let's
click on that thing.
This thing?
No, that thing.
Thank you.
No, that thing. Or So now they can read it better.
Oh, very nice.
You see?
So let's go to 725. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and a dividing of a time. Okay, so you're saying it's the same exact word. How do we know one is plural? You'd have to look at the original Hebrew, which actually we can look up at Bible Hub. I'm going to do real quick right now.
The .com.
BibleHub.com. Actually, I said .net before, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Hebrew.
You did. I mean, you did say that.
Did.
Yes, you did.
Oh, suddenly we're going to speak very low.
We speak very low and low. Radio voicey.
Yes.
25, is it?
Okay. Yeah. So in the Hebrew, I know you guys can't see that. I can make it happen, but it's going to take me too long. So I'm just going to read it. So when we find a time, it's idan, and times, it's we idanin. So it is actually a plural.
Mm.
Yeah. Now the same word is it's the same concordance word, time, because they didn't think they should have
time and
times under different numbers.
But the Hebrew is actually a different different word. So that is interesting. Glad that it is 3.5 years then. So it's times. Interesting. Yep. Very good question though. I'm super glad that you did that research. I'm super glad that you looked that up on the Strongs. And it is important that we try to go back to the originals. You did good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sabrina, 727. And the kingdoms and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Oh, we're still tiny. Amen and hallelujah. Even there is a hard and tough time that even though there's a hard and tough time that awaits us, it will end in victory for those who are on Jehovah's side. His kingdom is the only everlasting kingdom and the best kingdom of all.
Bam.
Amen.
Ain't that true?
Mm-hmm.
Gachuku, Daniel 9. It's obviously not Dan. We're like best friends now. I can call him Dan, Don't shoot out your nose. Okay. Verse 2. First time Daniel mentions Jeremiah, he understood by books, which means Jeremiah was around before Daniel or older than. Surprised I didn't notice this before. Yes, very good. Gilda Foss. You want to read that one, sir?
Sure. Gilda Foss.
Welcome,
Daniel.
Gilda, to the live. We know that you caught up to us. Very excited. Congratulations. So glad to have you here.
Indeed. Daniel 9:4. Gilda. I prayed to the Lord my God and made confession. What did Daniel have to confess? It was not his sin that brought the Jews into slavery. Even his enemies admitted that they could find no fault with him. Daniel was confessing the sins of his people. As an intercessor before God, he was making the nation's guilt his own. He did not consider himself better than his people, but identified with them. O Lord, great and awesome God, who keeps his covenant and mercy with those who love him, and with those who keep his commandments. Daniel began his prayer by addressing God as the covenant-keeping God. Israel had broken God's covenant by refusing to comply with its stipulations, and the predicted curses had come upon them, like in Deuteronomy. In mercy, God had warned the people over and over again, but every warning had been ignored, and the predicted punishment had finally fallen upon them. Daniel acknowledged God's hand in all this. Even in punishment, the Lord was trying to turn Israel from their iniquity and lead them back to him.
Amen.
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you, Lord.
Agreed. Yeah.
Gilda, Daniel 9:5-9. Daniel did not excuse Israel's conduct nor question the reason for their captivity. Instead, he acknowledged their sins. Notice the term he uses in his confession: sinned, committed iniquity, done wickedly, rebelled. These words cover every variety of rebellion and evil conduct. In contrast to Daniel's confession, few of Daniel's countrymen were willing to admit their guilt, nor were they willing to accept the responsibility of their punishment. Daniel acknowledged the Lord's justice in Judah's banishment. Here he points out to the reason: the entire nation, kings, princes, fathers, and the people have refused to heed the appeals of prophets. Daniel then confessed the unfaithfulness of God's people, contrasting God's righteousness with the nation's guilt. Notice that in this confession, Daniel mentions specifically by name each of the various groups shared in this guilt. In the midst of his confession, Daniel reminded God that he was Israel's only hope. They didn't deserve his mercy, but Daniel remained confident that the Lord was ever ready to forgive those who should come to him with a contrite heart. Israel and Judah had continued to rebel against God, but Daniel recognized that God's love for his people remained steadfast. Bam. What I'm talking about.
Super awesome.
Very good finding there, Gilda. Wonderful. He's a good father.
Come on, do it. I get a live performance of Nathan Wheeler today.
That's right. My jazz hands are coming. Don't worry. Don't you worry. We got all sorts of goodies coming today.
Okay. Just a little excited. Look, he's right here.
The jazz hands.
I can do this to him. I can give him shaken baby syndrome.
The abuse is unbelievable.
We're excited. Okay. Yes. Gilda, Daniel 9:18-19. Daniel ended his intercessory prayer by pleading with God to listen to his appeal and look with pity on desolate Jerusalem and his captive people. In this intercessory prayer, Daniel did at least 6 things that deserve our attention. He prayed very much earnestly. He depended on God's righteousness, not his own. He used the Bible. He confessed. If anybody's confused by that, what you might mean when you use the Bible, you mean he used the story,
the written word,
the whole legacy of what had occurred to them. Yes. He confessed his own sins and the sins of his people. He sought the glory of God and of his sanctuary, and he claimed God's promises. Like your little icons you put there. You've got all, that's great.
Matching icons for each sentence.
If you guys find Gilda's comment on the graphic there, you can see the icons. In so doing, he left an example of intercessory prayers for us to follow. This was a powerful lesson for sure. Yeah. Very good point, Gilda. We can learn a lot from the prayers of the saints. and of the prophets
Mm-hmm.
in the Bible. And I remember, I think it was during Solomon's prayer when he
Pray for the
was
nation.
dedicating the temple.
Yeah.
He prayed a great prayer. There's been several of those, obviously, throughout that we've read. They're like, oh my goodness, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it my turn? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
926, Sabrina. And the end thereof shall be with a flood. This made me think about the people have found out that there is an enormous amount of water hidden under the Mount of Olives. When Yeshua returns, he will put his foot upon this Mount of Olives. Zechariah 14:4 says, "And in that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall be split in two, from east to west, making a very large valley. Half of the mountain shall move toward the north, and half of it towards the south. So when Yeshua will put his foot on the mountain, it's going to split in two, and the amount of water that is under it right now will come to the surface that can possibly be the flood that the verse in Daniel speaks about." And yeah, totally could. That makes sense. Pretty exciting.
That's interesting. Yeah, good one, Sabrina.
Kind of crazy too, because you can go to that mount. You know, if you go to Jerusalem, if you can go to Jerusalem, and you stand on the mountain, it's kind of cool to watch and stand on those places and realize like you're standing on the places that the Bible's talking about.
Mm.
Mm.
I'm seeing what you're laying down, I think. So it's like there, the punctuation in the English, we have these semicolons.
Mm.
And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be a flood, with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I'd have to read the Zechariah 14:4 to kind of connect it to what you're saying here, but that's very
Well, read
interesting.
it. Go to it. Why not?
Is it? I think Zechariah is probably ahead of us.
It is, but we read ahead of us sometimes. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Zechariah 14:4, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east, and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half toward the south.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there you go.
So where's the water?
The other verse. He's putting the two pieces together. He's saying they found water underneath the Mount of Olives. So when he comes and he steps on it, he's saying,
thank you. Sometimes I need to explain to me, very like a child.
Yep.
You got to walk me through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm known as taking those really complex things and making them simple. Like you step on something and it breaks, and it's a special kind of person.
Yeah.
And I'm having coffee today, so
very interesting.
Because it's 8:00 here, so I'm not.
I mean,
used to
I
this.
am persuaded.
Are you?
Slightly.
You have to say it the right way, though.
I'm persuaded.
No, I am persuaded. Like this. Say, do it.
I cannot do it.
You do it.
No, I'm shy now. I feel shy.
And now I put him on the spot.
On the spot.
Look, he's blushing.
It's hot over here under these lights.
In the dark
is
guy.
it hot under these lights,
no,
or is it
it's just me.
two bodies in one tiny room?
Yes,
now?
that's what it is.
I need to turn the AC up, ladies
What?
and gentlemen. So, what I was going to say is this part of Dan 9.
Mm-hmm.
I am Dan 9. See, I'm calling him Dan too.
Well,
this part of Daniel 9, I am persuaded.
We
can. I am persuaded that it's about the first coming of Messiah. And, but it's interesting because of the semicolons anyway, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, is making me think perhaps.
But also it says unto the end of the war of desolation.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that war is the 70 AD war when Jerusalem got destroyed yet again. Quickly look up, was there a flood?
During the 70 AD war?
Yes.
70 AD war, also known as the Jewish-Roman War. Titus led that war. Gosh, that's one of my favorite wars to study. Not that it was like a good thing or anything. It's just a very... When
Oh,
did the
that's
flood occur,
interesting.
according to Daniel 9:6?
Yeah, so here's again, it's the internet, but
Interwebs.
the end will come with a flood, and until the end, because I didn't enter into the search engine, Daniel 9:26. I entered the phrase,
Was there a flood?
was there a flood during the 70 AD war? And somebody is saying that indeed there was. Oh my goodness, where did it go? Okay. Instantly some context required. Oh, this is a very long explanation. I was hoping for a quick one. Don't these people know we're on video?
He's talking about the people who wrote the thing he's reading.
Right, not you guys.
We figured you guys know we're on video.
Probably.
There's a good chance you're watching us, not just listening to us. Although some people just listen. And one day this will be a podcast. So there's that. It's a good thing you have your radio voice. People will really appreciate it when they're driving in their cars.
You can't whisper. You got to speak up.
I know, but I was going to do my radio voice, which means you get closer to the microphone, and then you use more of a deep, raspy kind of voice,
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you stay back and you do your thing, and then I'll do close and I'll be radioed. You get what I mean? What are we doing now?
Very soothing.
This is how I entertain myself, guys. It's really dangerous to be in my brain. All right. Did you find it?
No.
All right.
Not really.
Well, this
but
is good.
I have a feeling that there was a flood because I seem to remember.
Well then.
If I have a feeling, that's good enough, right?
That's all we need.
That's
listen,
hunch.
You guys mark it down as there's a flood. Because Alex said he had.
Because Alex had his feeling.
That's just how we roll.
Yeah. So it's something to look up. I think there was because of all the destruction of Jerusalem, I just think that there was some big flood in the city. But I could be wrong. And yeah, I could be wrong. And
what we can do though is as we continue to move forward and we get towards the end of the Bible and all this comes up again, we will obviously study what was called the 70 AD war, which is when the Second Temple was destroyed by Titus and his men, and the people were being crucified, 500 a day. That's pretty insane, and all that kind of stuff. So we will learn all about that too. But one thing that we were talking about, which is kind of jumping ahead, but just since we are saying that we feel there was a flood, the Lord does things twice. So
at least
it would also make sense that there could be a flood at the end, and there might be passages. I mean, not that I've read ahead or anything, but there might be passages to talk about a flood. Are you listening to me?
Here it is.
Oh, you found it.
So this is what we saw, and I finally found the text. Okay.
Good.
So this happened according to somebody named John Simpson online.
Obviously,
so hey, take it with a grain of salt. I suggest further research if you want to be sure. But this happened in AD 70 when the Roman army under Titus leveled Jerusalem. The prince who will come, however, was evidently not Titus, but a future ruler, namely the Antichrist. Okay, this is according to this guy's viewpoint. Titus made no...
What? What are you saying?
Where's the flood?
What are you saying?
Wait. I thought I read the flood part.
I don't know what you're saying. Oh my God, flood. I think you're thinking of something else.
Sorry, guys.
This video neither represents the views of the Yeshua Network or its sponsors.
Have you ever had...
Even though we don't have any sponsors.
Have you ever had...
Should we ever have sponsors?
Have you ever had Google combine two thoughts in one search result, and when you click on it, you realize...
It didn't bring up both?
That they're both brought up, but they're in different parts of the page, and it combined the result for you. So it read a certain way in the results. When you read the full version, it reads the complete opposite. No? Well, it just happened to me.
This video does not represent the views.
Aren't we? We're even smarter together.
So, okay. So we can do this, guys. Keep on sharing. Okay. Yes. See, we can do this. We can do this. This is why teamwork makes the holy dream work. That's just how it is. It's a body of Christ, not two guys of Christ. Okay. This is the
Indeed.
point of this.
So the fact that they found water underneath the Mount of Olives is pretty cool, and probably maybe has to do with this prophecy. Thank you, Sabrina. That's all that's really needed to be said. I just went off.
Yeah, you did. You wanted to get more in depth.
More.
Maybe somebody else has the passages and stuff, but it's good. It happens to us all, Alex. Oh, well, it's nothing to be ashamed. It was good. There was so much evidence of gravel, mud, and debris at the south end of the. I'm gonna think he means temple.
Probably.
Or the city.
Sounds, yeah. I'd like to finish that sentence.
Gravel, mud, and debris at the south end of the. Oh, I think he means the city, the Temple Mount, because he did an excavation there, remember?
Right.
And I actually have been to that excavation, and yes, I would imagine they actually did find a lot of debris because that's the way the water flows. So, very good. Every time Nathan does the big eyes, I feel like he's staring at me while I'm making a mess. I am. Very good.
Okay.
You guys didn't think this would just be serious Daniel chapters, did you?
I mean, you got
you
two
have
of
us,
this.
so
You got us together in the same room. This is a
this
recipe.
is biblical prophecy right here with the two of us, though. You know that, right? Because it
Recipe
says
for clownism. What?
the fools
will
confound
the
wise. Right. I knew you knew that one. That was good. Well done.
Of course.
Okay. Continuing on, we're still on 9. Don't worry.
Okay, Sabrina Gillis. 9:27. And she, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Like Jehovah made his covenant with his people through Yeshua. Covenant means in the sense of cutting a compact, because made by passing between pieces of flesh. This represents Yeshua all over it. He is the one who got cut and whipped and abused so much that he even didn't look human anymore. He gave his flesh, body, and blood for us sinners. This Antichrist is going to do kind of the same, also going to make his own covenant with people. The enemy is a copycat of Jehovah. He can't create new things. He can only take what Jehovah has created and tries to twist it into something of his own. We as believers in Yeshua know what and who the only true and real covenant is.
Mom.
Don't go into another one. Amen, Sabrina.
Do
not.
Preach it. Got some preaching going on. I like it.
Yep.
Hello, Kane from Canada. I don't know why I thought Chicago. We were just in Chicago. You weren't, but I was. We were on this thing called a tour. Hope you guys will join us in New York and New Jersey, by the way. All right, continuing on. Ohogochukwu. My turn.
Your turn.
You shall confirm a covenant with many. 7 days, then halfway through 3.5 days, shall cease sacrifice and oblation, abomination that makes desolate. Ba-bam! This sounds very much like the 7-year peace treaty, including 3.5 years Great Tribulation period. Indeed it is. Woo-woo! Good find, Ogochukwu. Very important. Take that gem in.
Stick it in your pocket.
Woo-woo! Come on. Somebody's making notes with the gems. You know somebody's counting gems?
I love it when I pass the test. What?
We're like on this. Yeah, somebody's counting the gems.
Get out.
To put in their pockets. Yeah.
No.
But I think they said something by like this. What was it? You guys like the 5th video or something like that? It was up to 18 or 15 gems.
Wow.
I know. I was telling people to put a lot of gems in their pockets.
Wow.
But if you think about it, when you get to the end, you're gonna have this big bag of collected jewels that are really good for informational understandings. And this is, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Good. All right.
What? What?
You guys know what I'm talking about. Especially if you've been a part of this. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, we do. I'm just making the funny dum-dum faces.
Yes, I know.
Funny dum-dum guy. All right.
Listen, you guys are the brains of the operation. We're just the faces, okay? We're just here to entertain and do a little dance. Hands once in a while. What are you looking at? There's nothing there. Are you seeing things?
Yeah. No.
Super duper. Oh, every time I hear Super Duper, you know what I think of?
What?
Putting on the Ritz.
If you're blue and you don't know what, why don't you go where fashion sits?
Put on the Ritz!
This is what...
You know what version that is?
Yes, I do.
That's the monster.
Yes.
Come on, you guys know Gene Wilder.
Yes.
What's the movie called?
My Fair Lady.
No. Okay, we'll get to it. Somebody knows.
I know what it's
Usually
called.
what
I
is it?
literally can't recall what it's called right now. This
Putting
is
on the
really...
Ritz. I love how he says it.
I'm
It's
having
so
a total
funny.
senior moment.
Gene Wilder's doing
I know.
Putting on the Ritz
I
with the
can see the
monster, which
scene
is
in my eyeballs.
Frankenstein.
I can see the scene in my
Frankenstein.
eyeballs.
And then he gets to his part and he just like yells it.
I
like
love
that.
Frankenstein.
You
Something
know?
like that.
See, I told you somebody would get it.
Young Frankenstein. Thank you.
Yes, Lisa, Bride of Frankenstein. No, Young Frankenstein. Really good.
Yes.
It's really funny.
Young Frankenstein.
I think it's hilarious. So every time I hear Super Duper, I always think of that version of Putting on the Ritz where the monster goes, Duper Duper. Super great. I love it.
Isn't this just
See,
the most wisdom-filled video you've ever seen? Okay, here we go. Daniel
our
10.
knowledge exceeds beyond a lot of different categories. They don't have this stuff on Jeopardy, though, because if they did, well, we'd have a lot bigger production value here.
Right?
Okay, continue on. Continue on.
Okay, Daniel 10.
We know they're awake now. Go
Sharon Louise... I hope I'm awake. Sharon Louise Roberts, Daniel 10. When reading these verses, it's quite disturbing the fact that color drained out of his face, even those who were with him felt the dread and ran away to hide. He did receive comfort, so I'm guessing the fact he fell into a deep sleep, it was like it was a bit like being sedated. Let me know what you think. Yeah. What do you think, Nathan? That's not a thought, that's a tune.
Which part is this though? Is
This
this
is
where
the part where he
it wasn't where he got comforted?
It is.
It is.
In the end he does here.
Was
so
yeah.
It's chapter 10 and
Oh, you're right, because we're in 10.
yes.
Yeah, because okay, so I don't know if he got sedated. I feel like he just got the Holy Ghost and he got like the peace that surpasses understanding. So I think sedation is more like you're kind of high and wooey wooey. So I think that it was more of just a peace and like, I mean, imagine the Lord himself puts his hand upon you, right? And you're just like, yeah, I think you'd feel pretty good and you just realize that there's nothing to worry about. Or was it Gabriel that touched? Yeah, it was Gabriel.
No.
My brain is fried right now because I think you've fried my brain.
Yes, I did.
It was the Lord that touched him, right? And then gave him peace.
Well,
Lori says yes. I'm gonna take that Lori's talking to me.
Yes, let's take a look real quick.
And she's talking about what I'm saying, even though there's a delay.
So it was a man. The voice sounded like many speaking at the same time. The original guy saw.
Yeah.
He had the face as the appearance of lightning, his eyes as lamps of fire, his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, the voice of his words like that of a multitude.
Yeah.
And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. Right. So I think that guy, the first one he saw, is the same one that Ezekiel saw,
right?
Who was showing Ezekiel's temple.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that that's probably the Archangel Michael. I think.
The one with the lightning face?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Because
you don't think it's Jehovah himself? Or like the manifestation of Jehovah as Yeshua?
No, actually, you might be right. Because I think
somebody knows that.
The
Could we time code that moment in this video, please?
There's also a man in linens, which could be Michael.
Why don't we read? And I bet you it will tell us.
You know what? Best idea you have.
I'm under the persuasion that if we read the Bible, it will tell us.
Yes. So shall we let us read from?
We should.
Daniel.
Do you want to read the whole thing? What do you want to do?
No.
You're just trying to do a thing where you get your voice to do the read through of the Bible.
MG, I'm not reading. You read.
Okay. Can't scroll. The mic. You have to, what? I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Here we read this part about.
My voice is scratchy. What a horrible day to ask me to read.
Well, then don't. You want me to read?
Yeah, of course. I always want you to read.
Ask me nicely.
Okay, will you read for me?
Please,
Mr. Lavosky.
please.
You're my best friend.
Like, put a please in there.
Well, please, will you read for us all and bless us with the voice the
Oh,
Lord has
come
given
on.
you?
You can't add that. All right. Thank you. I shall read. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Therefore, I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness, handsomeness, was turned into corruption, and I retained no strength.
Yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground.
So that's sedation. I can see the sedation part here. So I think we're understanding what she's saying. This makes sense now. Okay, continue on.
And behold, a hand touched me and set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. So kind of like in an almost
Like it lifted him up almost.
about to do a push-up pose.
Yeah, with on his knees.
But on his knees.
Right.
When you're like between push-ups and you're tired, this is generally how you stand. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand, and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words.
Bam.
Now, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Thank you. You're right. Michael's somebody else. Yeah, I forget these things because, I'm senile.
2 timestamps, please.
Now, I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men, the sons of Adam, touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake, and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision, my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. Now here, we're under the persuasion that this potentially is a form of Yeshua.
Okay, so let's address the first part, though, that was, I think, where the sedation comment comes from.
Yes.
It sounded to me like, have you ever been so scared that you faint? Or you ever seen, like, at least in the movies, because that's like, our reality is how we communicate. Like somebody gets so scared or overwhelmed with emotion, they faint. I think that his vision that he saw was so intense that he fainted. I don't think it was a sedation, especially being that it picked him up and put him on his knees and hands. Do you get what I mean? So I wouldn't say it was a sedation. I think the touch of the Lord or the Spirit of the Lord actually brought him back to consciousness. So I wouldn't say that he was touched with a sedation. I would say he was touched with a coming back to consciousness. But I think the overwhelming of the experience is what knocked him out. That's my persuasion, though, based upon the way the scriptures are.
I'm in agreement.
Okay.
I think a fainting of some kind. I've experienced it. I've seen other people experience it. Overwhelming emotional experiences can lend to somebody just going, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, we gotta turn these lights off.
What?
Just unhide.
What?
Just unhide. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. What did you say? I gotta turn the lights off?
Yeah, I gotta turn the lights off. Knock out.
I thought you meant you gotta turn the lights off in this room because
No,
there was something exploding.
Just talking about the context of our conversation. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff.
It could have been Gabriel. Yes, it could have, but not. I'm persuaded that probably not, having reread this now live, because I believe Gabriel comes to him earlier, and he doesn't appear in this way.
Gabriel seems to appear more as a man.
Yeah, I think Gabriel is the one with the linens. Something, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we get to it, don't we? I don't think we're at that part yet. Do you want to keep reading?
We could take a look back and see, because Gabriel does show up to him in 1 through 6.
There you go. Why don't we do that?
We know that definitely this description reminds me very much of the Ezekiel one.
Yes.
So let's take a look.
What are you doing?
Looking for the button. Okay.
This the part you mean?
I don't think it was 6.
Well, it shows up today. It shows up in these passages that we're talking about.
Gabriel does?
Yeah. You don't remember this?
I don't know. I think maybe my brain decided to shut down
It's okay.
today.
This is why we have the entire body of Christ with us. It's because we all have off days, and we all have days where our brain goes wooey wooey, and that's why we record it. So we can always come back to these videos with all these super intelligent people, and we can. I mean, you guys do a great job. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being sarcastic. You know that, right?
What?
Oh man, Gabriel is in chapter 9. See?
Thank you. Yes, I knew that.
I knew he knew that. I was just testing you and how you were testing us. That's what that was.
Right. I was just testing everyone. Right. Okay.
We're small too, by the way. Oh, you want to show them the passages? Good. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Yes. Do it. 9:20. She gave it to you.
She did?
Yes. Thank you, Susan
Thank
Harris.
you, Susan. Oh my goodness. The slow workings of my brain are on display. And whiles I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God. Yeah, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation, and he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. So when it says here, and whilst I was Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, is that referring to a vision that probably was in earlier chapters? Maybe that's why I'm thinking of that.
I think
anyway,
so. Yes, Gabriel does show up to him in the beginning.
In the beginning,
of that beginning that you're thinking of.
Yes, and he's not described in the same way as the man here with the bronze.
With the bronze and all that. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the man with the bronze, may not
lightning
be
face.
May not be Gabriel. Okay. So
thing is if you guys are confused, don't be, because this is how you're going to remember it. We talk about it, you fellowship about it, you engage in conversation, and that actually helps you retain the information. Am I right?
What?
Oh Lord.
It's fun to do that in person.
Isn't it great?
It really is
so
fun.
much nicer to pick on each other in real life.
It's fun.
Oh, I love it.
No, you're absolutely right. I found that I've retained a lot more thanks to the fellowship than I would ever have retained just reading things through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you talk about it and you hear people talk about it and you hear context about it. It's not just like an education, like somebody writing on a chalkboard and da 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 da. You know what I mean? And you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna remember that. No, you get home, have your first peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it's already gone. You know what I mean, man?
Right. Particularly if it's peanut butter and jelly. That just
soaks up all the brain knowledge. Okay. Continuing on. Sonja says, oops, sorry, I got really close to the microphone because I'm trying to read. Ezekiel's book of Daniel, John talks about the lightning showing up. Revelation, the whole book, read from very beginning of Magnificent. Yes'm. Revelations 1:5, Jesus faithful witness, firstborn from the dead. Okay, I don't. Bob, yeah, this sounds more like Michael after all. Definitely not Gabriel.
It's not Gabriel.
Gabriel comes way more casual.
And Bob, it's probably not Michael. And the reason why I thought maybe it is Michael, but it's not, because he says that that he worked on something Michael came out to help him or something like that.
Exactly.
So he basically makes us understand that he's not Michael. Hope that makes sense to you. And now I'm looking for the passage where he says that, for the verse, I mean.
Somebody might comment on it, or it's on 10. So let's see.
It's on 10. I'm looking for it.
Let's see, though. We'll come back to it, because it might be in our notes, and we don't want to take from anybody else's comment. Or did you already find it?
Yeah.
Did you find it?
No.
Oh.
I just had it.
Okay. I believe in you. I can play.
Oh, here it is.
10:13.
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia.
Bam.
So, yeah. This is an interesting, because as we're reading, I remember as we were reading this, 10 through 1 through 10:12 just reads totally makes you not that hard to understand what's going on. One idea follows the other in a storyline way. And then this 10:13 feels like it's what happened? Who did with which king where?
Yeah.
So I think that
the thing that's interesting is, though, the only reason why I was trying to point out and kind of I was like still pushing on this was the fact that it talks about how he kind of sits on a throne, like he's kind of like a head honcho. You know what I'm talking about? The lightning face.
does it say that he's on the
Yeah,
throne?
it kind of, well, not on a throne, but I'm saying it kind of describes like he's like in a leadershipy overseer power authority situation. You remember that?
Oh, he is clothed in linen as well.
Well,
I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with the fine gold
and Uphaz.
Uphaz.
And then mirrored the burial.
Yeah, his body was like the beryl, which is a gemstone, I guess.
Yes.
And his face is the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude.
Okay, so the only reason why I'm saying this too is that this description matches with other descriptions in Revelation. So we can either wait till we get there and figure it out what it's saying, right?
So what are you going to tell us?
Put it in your pocket.
Put a gem in your pocket. It's like at least 2 gems in one video. I like it very much.
We're probably going to have a lot of gems to put in your pocket in this one because this ties in a lot with the book of Revelation, as you all know. A lot.
So, right. Of course it does.
But yes, I would say that this doesn't sound like Michael. It doesn't sound like Daniel. It sounds like somebody who sits on a throne to me later, which to me is a hint of who it might be.
Whoa. We have
what?
A testimony.
Oh, dang.
Sonia says, I love this. I read Daniel and had a tremendous visitation at the end of the Feast of Praise. A blue light came through the top of my window and to the wall where my 2 side-by-side hooks on the wall were, where our house robes are, a green light and blue light. On the wall, I felt a fluttering in my chest, a bubbly, giggly no, not audible, but a knowing that God was going to use me as a witness to God's goodness. And that God was going to use me where I'm at.
Bam.
Wow, Sonia. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Bam. Hallelujah.
Super awesome.
Okay, go up to Julie had a good comment about EBRT. She said, oh, it's Gilda. There's no way I could absorb, understand, remember any of this glorious Bible without EBRT. At least I don't think I could.
Amen.
Well, it's not just EBRT, it's just fellowship, right? And that's what we're doing here. We have fellowship. And that's the most amazing thing about when you read the Bible and you fellowship with it, it really just helps it stick. It gives it application. Your mind has reference points. You know what I mean, man?
Yep.
You're in the zone again.
I'm zoning. I'm reading comments. All right.
I know. There's such great comments. They're hard not to read.
Where were we?
We're at that one, I think.
Sabrina Giles, 10:3. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth. Neither did I anoint myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. I believe this is the Daniel fast that Ricardo asked and talked about in the previous EBRT.
Mm-hmm.
And Karen Del Cunningham says, yes, I do believe it is, and also the kind of fasting Nathan has suggested in the 40-day holiness challenge. It's amazing how choosing to deny your flesh of just one thing that you find oh so pleasant can reveal how bonded to that thing we are. In essence, a Daniel fast can reveal areas where we have made that thing a little god we are serving unknowingly. For until you deny your flesh and how much it kicks and screams for that thing, you don't know how God himself wants to fill that need with something better.
Bam.
It's why listening and responding to what the Holy Spirit is directing you in is so essential in our personal relationship with him. Amen, Karen.
Come on, Karen. Preach it, girl.
I agree.
Preach. Like it.
Very cool. All right.
Okay. Aaron, 10:12 through 13. Then he continued, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, Daniel, since the first day you set your mind to gain understanding. Don't make me laugh. I'm trying to be serial.
All right, well,
And to humble yourself before your God.
No,
What?
no. Back, start
They
again.
understand what I'm
You
saying.
can't laugh through the words of the Lord. Start again.
Don't get me in trouble, yo.
I know.
We've already been in trouble once before. Really,
Yeah,
really
seriously.
bad. Okay, ready?
Not cool.
So, focus. That's a focus act, right? Okay. Daniel 10:12 through 13, he continued. Do not be afraid, Daniel, since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before God, your words were heard, and I have come to respond to them. But to the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me because I was detained there with the king of Persia. I really want to get a hold of what this verse about the spirit realm. I read that right? I really want to get a hold of what this reveals about the spirit realm. I repent for every time I thought Yahweh was slow in answering prayers, because we see here that Daniel was told his words were heard, but the first day he humbled himself in prayer, and he sends angels to help angels. Our Father is such a responsive God, delighting in our prayers of intercession and in our sincere seeking to gain understanding. But sometimes there are actual spiritual forces delaying or preventing the answer from coming from God. God's heart is to respond to us. What is it about the human nature that just wants to throw God under the bus all the time? Unbelievable. It breaks my heart to think about how gracious and forgiving he is when we completely read him wrong. For some crazy reason, he wants to partner with us in bringing his kingdom to earth. What an awesome God he is. His timing is perfect. There's something about when God speaks or gives us a hint of what actually is going on that evokes feelings of terror, as Daniel experienced. But he always comes and tells us that we don't need to be afraid. Help our hearts, Lord, to be responsive to you as you are to us. In Yeshua's name, I'm in agreement with that. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I like it.
Mm.
Gilda says she's going to need bigger pockets.
This is very interesting. The NIV here slightly differently translates 10:13.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
It
it's
does that.
worth spending some more time on 10:13. Not now. We're going to continue on, but on your own. And I plan to do this because just like you're pointing out, Karen, that the being, the perhaps God himself here, is telling Daniel that he was detained to come and answer Daniel's prayer, even though from the very first day he was already due his answer. I mean, that was good enough to receive an answer. But he was detained because he was there with the king of Persia. Very interesting, huh?
Yes.
So I think a full and accurate translation of 10:13 is in order.
I love you guys. That's all I gotta say. I just love you guys.
We love you too.
Nah, but I really love you guys. Like, you're
But
doing
we
that.
really love you.
No, you're really going the extra mile. You're really reading deep. You're looking into the translation. You guys are amazing. I mean, this is the best fellowship Bible ready through thingy ever. That's all I gotta say. Okay, what are you doing now?
Staring into space. It's what I do
Good.
best.
Yes.
All right.
Sabrina
Sabrina
Guileless,
Guileless 10:20. And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I'm gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. If this man in linen is indeed Yeshua, this means that Yeshua himself was fighting against the prince of Persia, and later on, the prince of Grecia, which I think he means that that these are some kind of spirit demon that was over this region. Sabrina, I am persuaded that the prince of Grecia that is being prophesied here is literally Alexander the Great. He is the king of Greece, king of Macedonia, which took over Greece, and
At this particular time period.
or later in prophecy, not during the time of Daniel, but a few hundred years after.
Okay.
And the Persian Empire, after it takes over from Babylon, historically,
Mm.
was the most powerful, unbeatable empire in the world, and on the civilized world anyway. If you want to find out about that, you can watch the movie 300. The whole idea was that the Persians were unbeatable. 300's not.
We can neither promote or unpromote the movie 300.
The
There's
not
violence and nudity in that
I
movie.
know it's no about the idea was that
You
Persia
can
was the
research
unbeatable.
the story of the 300 in Persia.
Persia was the unbeatable empire,
Mm.
and Alexander the Great defeated it in just a few short years, you could say, and took over all of it. And he's also in my opinion, he's the goat that knocks over the ram.
Greatest of all time?
Yes, the greatest of all time. That knocks over the ram in other
Think he's better than
prophecies.
Brady?
Who?
Tom Brady, football player. Okay, never mind.
Yes, I think perhaps maybe he's more impressive than
Stay
Tom
on
Brady.
target. Okay.
You with me, Sabrina? That's what I'm saying. That the Prince of Grecia is, in fact, the one that defeats Persia. So,
Of course, don't take our word for any of this. Do your own research. Find out. Dig deeper. We know you have, but just continue. Right?
right.
Right.
Now, also, the Prince of Grecia might be, now this made me think, Prince of Grecia might be the angel that is in charge of the Greek peoples. Also think of it that way.
Are we being loud, Dan? He says bigger heads or smaller voices, please. Are we loud? Can you tell me the sound?
Bigger heads or smaller voices?
I don't know what that means.
Oh!
Oh.
Boom.
You've had us tiny the whole time. I give this guy 20 jobs. 20 jobs per video. And you know what?
Dan, that was a good way of putting it. That was very well done. I mean, you puzzled us good.
You done good there, sir. Thank you.
How
How come it took Dan? Nobody else told us that we were tiny. You know, you guys, teamwork. This is a teamwork thing. Don't let us be small the whole time.
Well, Dan did it.
I know.
He was that part of the body of Christ to let us know.
Also, though, they're on delay. They're on delay from us.
Well, everybody is. So is Dan.
Well, that was my point.
Oh.
So what I'm saying is what seemed like a long time for us is not so long for them, hopefully. Just continue on. We're good. Yes, Alex. Angels afflicting the affairs of the kingdom.
Plus 2 is 22.
I thought it was normal. Oops.
Tav?
22? That's 4.
What?
Just listen.
Okay. Daniel 11. Go ahead.
See what we're working with here? Unbelievable. Oh, give me the long one.
You want me to read it?
No, I'm reading. That's fine. Okay. Here,
Daniel
Gabriel is
11:1.
concluding his explanation of the spiritual warfare between the forces of good and evil by pointing out that he had previously worked with King Darius in his first year as king. See Daniel 9:1. This sheds light on why Darius appointed Daniel as his prime minister. Gabriel's account that follows in Daniel's 11:2 through 12:3 is a detailed outline of world history from Daniel's day to the second coming of Christ. It describes future highlights of the ongoing spiritual warfare that was revealed to Daniel in chapter 10. This prophecy is a further explanation of the 2,300 days and 70-week prophecy given in chapter 8 and 9. This prophecy is not presented using symbols like the earlier prophecies, but the descriptions are often vague and cryptic like a code, so it's tricky for me to understand. A clue to understanding this prophecy might be to note certain historical milestones. Most of them correspond with Daniel's earlier prophecies. Verse 2. This verse describes the current ruling kingdom, Persia. This corresponds to the bear of the chapter 7 and the ram of chapter 8. This verse begins a description of the kingdom of Greece. This corresponds to the leper of chapter 7 and the male goat of chapter 8. This verse begins chapter 6, verse 16. This verse begins a description of Rome in its pagan phase. This corresponds to the dragon beast of chapter 7 and the earlier rule of the horn in chapter 8. Verse 20, this verse marks the birth of the Messiah. Verse 22, this verse marks the death of the Messiah. Verse 31, this verse begins a description of Rome in its papal phase.
Papal.
I know. This corresponds to, just like I say, Bible. This corresponds to the little horn of chapter 7 and later ruler of the horn in chapter 8. Verse 40, this verse carries us down to the time of the end near the conclusion of the 2,300 days. The verse that follows takes us beyond Daniel's earlier prophecy. They describe the final warfare at the time of the end and conclude with the deliverance of the saints. The book of Daniel to me is very complex, significant, and holds a ton of prophetic information. I think I need to read it a third time to really absorb and understand it well.
Yeah, I would agree about reading it lots. This is really awesome, Gilda. You've got some good ideas in how you
Put it together.
put it together and go down these verses. We can maybe go to 11 right now and take a look if see how we
Well, who else is written on 11? Let's see what else is being said on 11. Before we
yes,
break
there's
down
lots
11.
on 11.
Yeah,
So
so
we'll
let's
come
read.
back. I wanna take a look at what you've said here and take a look at the verses too and really give it some time.
We will circle back is what we're saying. We're not going to leave you hanging, but we want to kind of hear everybody's.
Can't use that. Can't say circle back anymore.
Why? Is it a thing?
You can't do it anymore.
Is it really?
It's been patented by somebody.
This is how I live, and I live under a rock. I don't know these things. Good thing I have the Alex.
Don't worry. It's a joke you don't need to know about right now. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Sabrina Gillis, 11:4. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken and shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up even for others beside those. This refers to Alexander the Great. Yes. Time in history. His heyday only lasted a little over 10 years. In the year 323 BC, he's believed to have died of malaria. At his death, he leaves a son named Hercules. A second son is born shortly after his death. They're both killed. His four generals and their successors divide his great inheritance among themselves after a hard battle. Daniel 8:8, verse 22. The distribution is as follows. 1. Seleucus, blah, blah, blah. Seleucus, because they were called the Seleucids. The Seleucids. I was able to pronounce it last night.
You were doing a great job.
It's really
Totally dropping the ball live on video. Right
I
now.
think having too much coffee is not good for you. Okay. Seleucus gets Syria in the east. Lysimachus gets Asia Minor in the north. Ptolemy gets Egypt in the south, and Cassander gets Macedonia to the west. Thus the Greek world empire is divided to the four winds, points of heaven, the cardinal points being seen from the Persian Empire. Yes, I agree. I agree that's
Seleucus.
Seleucus, thank you. Seleucus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucius. Oh, I love the way she's
Lucius.
See us.
See us. See, she did a very good job.
Sabrina Gillis, 11:6. Go for it.
Julie says, one of my favorite books, my Bible binding is broken at the beginning of the book of Daniel. Interesting. Which one? I don't know what I'm reading. Where am I? What?
You're reading 11:6, my friend.
And in the end of years, they shall join themselves together, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm. Remember this? Neither shall he stand nor his arm. To me, it helps to know that the details about these verses to understand it better. I literally don't remember anything that I have learned in school about history, because at the time it was so boring to me and I didn't know I would ever need it in any way to know why is it important. But now I'm reading the Bible and I want to understand these verses. When in history did this happen? Exactly. It's amazing, isn't it? And of whom was this speaking about in these verses? There is no longer this is no longer about Ptolemy, Seleucus, Seleucus, but about their descendants, Ptolemy II, Antioch II. This transition is implied in the opening words of this verse, in the lapse and end of years. To the end of the years of bloody war conflict between Egypt and Syria. An attempt is being made to have the two royal houses entered into an equitable, thank you, agreement with each other. The agreement consists of a marriage around 252 BC. Antiochus to cast off his wife Lodice, that word. That one. Mary's
Laudice.
Oh, that wasn't so easy for him, so you know it's a good one. Laudice. And Mary's Bernice, daughter of the Egyptian king Ptolemy II. However, this attempt at peace ends in disaster. Are you guys picking this up? This is prophecy being fulfilled right here. Lodice, in revenge, has her former husband Antiochus II poisoned a few years after his marriage to Bernice. She does the same thing with the little son of Lodice, followed her there, takes the city. Wait, did I skip some?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That doesn't make any sense. She does the same thing with the little son from that marriage. Bernice then flees with some of his faithful to a town near Antioch. Seleucus II, the son of Lodice, follows her there, takes the city, and kills Bernice and her
retinue.
Yeah, that one.
That's her court.
Mm-hmm.
Her
peoples.
What's the word? Her entourage.
Her entourage. Ptolemy II, Bernice's father, also died during this time. So now I'm like, aha, history is good and interesting to know about after all.
I agree, Sabrina.
Thank you, Sabrina Gillis.
So,
you did a very good job.
That was great. That was really, really good. That's super important what Sabrina just did there, because 11 is a somewhat confusing chapter because it's greatly detailed, and yet, of course, there's not names given. You have to go and look at that time of history and see if you can find how those prophecies were fulfilled.
Right.
And, I think reading things out of context in 11, somebody could read Daniel 11 and be like, what? Is this about anything to do with the end times? What? This, that? And you got to remember that Daniel is, Daniel is around being given this information before the Second Temple was ever even built yet. So the whole Second Temple period, for the most part, exists during the Greek kingdoms. So the Greek kingdoms are very important. And here, Daniel is being told what's going to happen to the Greek kingdoms. And there you go. Rena found that stuff, so that's really good. This is kind of why I wanted to revisit Gilda's comment eventually, because I'm not sure.
But we have more.
There's more. But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. I know. I'm not sure. We're not forgetting about you, Gil. You've written more. I just want to say there's more before we circle back. Unless you want to circle back now, have you? Sorry, I can't say that.
I'm not a circle back girl. What?
Is that a song? I have no idea what you're talking about. You're messing with me live on the video.
I love
the deer cotton headlight eyes right now. I'm just like, I'm so like not up with the times. I'm not a cool kid anymore.
I can pinch him and like pull his hairs. Okay. So I'm just resorting to absolute childish behavior.
Good,
okay.
Good.
All right. So, Sabrina Gillis 11:16. But he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. The glorious land is another name for Israel. That's right. Sabrina Gillis 11. I'll just read the next one.
Yeah, you do that.
Sabrina Gillis, sometimes I just gotta keep myself awake.
Just keep going. I got it.
Sabrina Gillis 11:21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. Apparently, this is speaking of Antiochus IV. Epiphanes? Yes. This man is one of the greatest enemies of God's people, who is written about in the Old Testament.
Yes.
And Summers says, and a foreshadowing of the Antichrist. I agree with both of those statements. You guys remember when Nathan said at the beginning of the video, God does things more than more than once?
Sometimes he does it more than twice. I said he always does things twice, which he does.
Yes.
But sometimes he does it 3 or 4 times even, so.
See, Julie over there is explaining what the whole circle back joke is about.
Well, okay, wait. Let's just say White House spokesman Jim worn out the phrase circle back. Oh, really?
Yes.
I have no idea. Shows you how much I truly do
You
not
are
watch
lucky.
the news.
I believe you're
I
lucky.
really
You have not
authentically
you
do
have
not
not
watch the
missed
news.
much other than vexation.
Holla
Okay.
back, girl. Okay.
Go ahead. You read the big
No,
long
you're
one.
on a roll.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, continue. You're doing great. Plus, it's really far from me.
I know.
I mean, I have good eyes.
I
but
can
it's
make it
really
bigger.
hard. No, it's okay. Continue. Just go. You're good.
Sabrina Gillis, 1135, and some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed.
Mm.
When I was reading this verse and the ones that go before this one, I thought that all of this was speaking about the days still to come in our future. So after 2021, the year we're in right now. And that it was speaking of the Antichrist, like with that statue, abomination that maketh desolate, which we also read in the book of Revelation when it's about the Antichrist. But when I read the commentaries in Esor that goes along with these verses right here in Daniel, it says that all of this has already happened in the past, in the time of the Maccabees. Commentary says the second part of this verse makes it clear that the persecutions in the time of the Maccabees did not usher in the time of the end. The similarities with the end times are great, but after the persecutions, the worldwide reign of the Lord Jesus has not come. Times are yet to pass until the promises of the Lord in connection with the end times are fulfilled. So here we can see that history will repeat itself again, like in a circular event, and that things that have already happened, like we can read in these verses, are like a foreshadow of what is still going to happen in our future. There have been many antichrists so far in history, but the last one in the book of Revelation will be the worst of them all, I believe. Sabrina, I'm in agreement with you, generally speaking.
It's a really strong stance. Then
Isn't that a strong stance?
I stand firmly with you
in a sort of general way.
In a general
the reason why
way.
The reason why I say generally speaking is because we're not speaking to the details of these verses at the moment.
Yes.
To the overall general picture. So yes, I'm in agreement that I believe that all of 11, if not pretty much all of 11, is leading us up to Antiochus IV. And I'm also in agreement that
he was not a nice man.
He was not a nice man
he
at all.
He did very unnice things.
In these verse 1135, let's see specifically, and some of them understand shall fall, try them even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. Yeah, this doesn't actually mean that the time of the end has anything to do with Antiochus per se. It's saying that many will fall. Even those that have understanding may suffer and fall. It is appointed for that to happen, even to the end. So, does that make sense, what I just said?
Yeah, read D's comment. That's a good one, too.
Okay. D. Duke says, a lot of times when I read the Bible, there will be a clear, obvious, literal meaning. Then there is foreshadowing or prophecy in the same verse. It is like there can be many layers of meaning beyond the obvious. Symbolism and prophecy are there if I meditate and look for them. Amen, D. I agree. Pretty cool.
Which I think I said in like 2 videos ago. I think it was 2 videos ago. Maybe it was the last video. I said too, is it not okay for us to be like, not sure? Is it not okay for us to read the Bible and wherever we're at, just to kind of have like the mindset going, I have a feeling as I continue to read, I'm going to learn more. My idea or my understanding of these scriptures now are going to be explained more, which we've said throughout this entire Bible read through. We definitely said it at the beginning. And then as time has gone on, we've actually gained a lot of understanding about a lot of different topics, right?
Yes.
So it's a very good thing that, when you come across these moments, as you're talking about, D, I think a lot of people, especially people who read by themselves and aren't participating in the EBRT or an EBRT kind of like fellowship, they get very frustrated. They get very discouraged. And so I want to just speak to that and say, if you guys are, even if you're reading an EBRT, and since you're reading ahead of the videos, if you feel like you're not getting it, I think it's okay to just be like, well, I read it. You can always go back and keep reading, and restudying and looking into the history as people have done here, which bravo, very good job, everybody. But what I'm trying to say is just don't beat yourself up. I can testify that the Bible does continually explain and fill in the gaps. So, just kind of go with an open mind and be okay with the fact that right now, maybe there's going to be some things that you fully don't understand. And hopefully, as a brother who's read through the Bible many times before, I can just tell you, hey, this gets answered. This gets explained. We're going to see this again. So hopefully that gives you a peace of mind. That's a wonderful thing about having the fellowship. Another wonderful thing, right?
Yes, Jennifer says Facebook is snubbing my posts. I will try one last try to throw it up here. Well, Jennifer, that's a bummer.
That made it up.
That just made it. Yeah, we love your posts, and this is a bummer. So I hope that post makes it up so we can read it.
Wonder where they be stumbling you. Are you on Facebook warning jail? Oh, there it is.
Okay, here's something. Daniel 1:6 and 1:7. Okay, so these are prior chapters. I'll go ahead and read it. Daniel 1:6. Now among these were, of the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Daniel 1:7, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gives names, for he gave unto Daniel the name of Belteshazzar, and to Hananiah of Shadrach, and to Mishael of Meshach, and to Azariah of Abednego. I always wondered why they changed their names. I was thinking so they could blend into the culture. Upon looking it up, it was because the meaning of their Hebrew names centered on God. Daniel, God is my judge. Hananiah, Yah has been gracious. Mishael, who is what God is. Azariah, Yah has helped. Daniel is given the Babylonian name Belteshazzar, meaning Bel protect the king. Marduk, in Mesopotamian religion, the chief god of the city of Babylon, and the national god of Babylonia. As such, he was eventually simply called Bel. While his companions are given the Babylonian name Shadrach. Shadrach is command of Aku, the Babylonian moon god was Aku. Meshach, who is what Aku is, and Abednego means slave of the god Nebo. Nabu, biblical Nebo, major god in the Assyrio-Babylonian pantheon, he was the patron of the art of writing and the god of vegetation. Very cool. So they basically wanted to make sure to blaspheme with changing the names of some of the most righteous guys that Israel had. So I'm seeing your comments, Jennifer. I'm going to try to copy them right now so we can save them and read them at the end so we don't get too derailed from where we are right now. I didn't realize you were going to be posting all of them right now, which is fine that you are. I just want to grab them.
That was very good information. Thank you for sharing.
It was
Super
indeed.
glad that you posted it. Very, very important day.
Grab him here.
Also, the information that you gave, as me and Alex had talked about in these chapters privately, ties into also behavior we believe will happen in the future as well.
What?
Right?
Huh?
No?
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
No, seriously, what are you talking about?
No, don't worry, man.
No, come on. What do you
disagree with me?
I don't want to.
You can neither confirm or deny. This does not represent the views of the Alex Lavoski. No, listen. What I said was what you just read.
Yes.
Kind of plays in with a behavior of what will happen in the future. Changing the names.
Oh, well, we talked about
to
changing
make a
the
different
times.
Yeah. You can give it away now if you really want
But
to.
isn't that here?
No, yes, but we haven't
Is it in
gotten
12?
to it yet. Yeah.
Well, don't lay it out there and then
I'm
expect
saying
me not
because
to,
it might play in and we
man.
may not touch upon it just yet. We may
that's
get to the
like
revelational time
your
period of the reading Bible
opinion,
read through.
man.
Unbelievable.
This is what I have to work with.
Well, you're doing a great job is all I'm trying to say. And we're going to bring up more things like that play into it because it is a very antichristy behavior. That's what I'm trying to say.
I love it.
Do you understand? Do you understand now what I was talking
thank
about?
you. You have to spell it out. My brain is not that impressive. All right, where were we?
With the beams. What is this? Oh, spill the beans. We will. We will. I was just encouraging because she's got.
I shall split the beams with the power of my hand.
It's this tiny for me. The screen is like a mile away.
Good. This is how I monopolize the readings. Reduce the font, push the screen far away, then I'm the default reader.
Right. You get to read everything. I'm just the guy who sits over here with his beard disappearing in the bright lights. It's like I don't even have a chin.
Listen, these lights were precisely calibrated to light my thwart.
My beard is like a silver reflector, and it's like look. I don't even have a neck, but I have to like turn like this for anybody to even see I have a chin.
Think about what an awesome experience people are gonna have if they go back to like video number 1 right now,
and they watch how much I've decayed and aging. Look great. Thank you guys. Great. You know what you just did?
No.
Jim is now going to do a cutaway to like the first video when my beard used to have its calico, light red and red. And then there's going to be this because of what there's going to be a perfect look at how you stayed Alex Lavorsky and I've become Father Time. I'm Santa Claus's cousin. This is great. Yes, let's talk about that in this because that's super important.
You didn't let me finish. You just jumped all over it.
I know because it was a really good opportunity for comedic timing. I had to take it then.
I was gonna say that we could see wisdom happen, sort of physically,
right?
Like booyah. We could like go wow and then wow, But your version was definitely more entertaining than mine. So.
I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't either.
I don't know what that is that they're talking about.
There's beans and dogs.
There's bush dogs. What is it? Is this a brand of food?
Man, this is going off commercial the rails now. It's okay. Who cares?
We're having fun. That's all that matters. And we're learning. And we're praising the Lord. And we're having fellowship. Those are all the things that matter.
Those are the Lord is with us. Indeed.
See, I almost finished the sentence, but I got to you. Okay, continuing on. Take 5052. Here we go.
Guileless. Daniel 11:37.
Mm-hmm.
Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. Question. The God of his fathers refers to Jehovah, and the desire of women refers to Messiah, Yeshua, because all the women's desires was to be the mother of him. I don't know. You got me on that one, Sabrina. As far as the desire of women, the God of his fathers would have, I believe, meant about Antiochus. His fathers had all kinds of gods, and I imagine that it's basically saying that he was an absolute narcissist. He wasn't really into anything that his predecessors were into. Even the desire of women stopped being interesting to him. Meaning he was not even interested in, let's say, exploits and conquest and having lots of girlfriends.
You're filling this in, or you're telling that this is somebody else.
I'm filling it in. What do you mean?
You're filling in what these possibilities and why he would not be interested in. Yes. Okay.
So
this is not Alex is saying he knows. I'm just saying for the record.
Yeah, no, I am filling in, right? This is what I took it as, right? I read it as...
Just want to make sure that part
is... The final sentence here that I read...
Claused at the bottom.
Clued me into the fact that we're talking about Antiochus's megalomania, was that, for he shall magnify himself above all. So he wasn't seeking the love of women, right? He wasn't seeking after that. He wasn't seeking after the regard of the gods of his fathers. He is above everything, and that's what I took as the desire of women. Most men chase after the desire of women. Something that, what's the word? I
don't know. I don't know what you're saying.
Well, it's something. What do you mean?
Because you were halfway through a sentence. It could be any word.
Oh my God. You must follow my thoughts when
I'm
they're
totally following your
incomplete.
thought, but the word you could have put there is a bazillion words. Men follow after the desire of women,
No, no, no,
blank, blank, blank. That's
no,
a
no, no.
huge amount of words
What
that you could choose there. How am I supposed to know which one you were
was
going
this
to
not an
choose?
improv exercise?
Is
You're
it?
just
We're
supposed to
doing
go
great.
with it.
Yeah, but I don't know which one you. I don't want to step on your toes. You're doing a great job. Continue on
Step
with.
on my toes. I was inviting you into the
But
conversation.
I wasn't even thinking he's gonna throw me a bone and I'm supposed to improv the next word. I'm just listening to you.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
authentically listening.
keeping you on your toes.
Unlike most people, I'm not over here thinking of my own way of how I'm gonna chime in or what I'm gonna say. I'm actually enjoying authentically what you say, authentically what they say.
Unlike most people.
My brain is pretty much empty most of the time, unless the Lord kind of zaps me and gives me a little twitch in the brain cells. You know what I'm saying? And
I
don't
do.
worry, you guys. We are going to get to the thing that we were mentioning. We see that you're saying we want to know what you were talking
We're
about.
gonna get
You
there.
will. We're not going to leave it hanging. I promise.
So anyway, I believe I've said enough about this.
And Gilda
Th-
says I'm like a
so-
fine wine, homie.
You
That's
are.
what she says.
You are.
I'm like a fine wine.
You are.
Don't put me
homie.
in a new skin though, because it will burst. Wine skin. Bible joke.
Right,
But
that-
bam. Did you
That's
see what I did there?
why we got to keep you with the white beard. Because if we put you in the new skin, it'll burst.
Right. Well done. You played on that well.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, Sabrina is asking a question here.
Okay, good.
What are our thoughts about what this desire of women thing means?
Mhm.
And again, I'm persuaded that 11.
You're persuaded he was such an egomaniac.
Yes.
He suffered so much from just God complex,
Yes.
like authentic God complex,
yes.
that like women were just so below his desirability because his desire was set at the bar of turn myself to a God.
Yes.
I'm
Well-
persuaded he was asexual.
Well, it says neither shall he regard the God of his fathers nor the desire of women. So regarding the desire of women may mean
Mhm.
that women had no influence on him. They could
Right.
never change him from anything that he was. So
Exactly.
it doesn't mean that he didn't have girlfriends. It just means that there's nothing that they could ever do to dissuade him from whatever his thoughts and ambitions were about himself.
I agree with that sentence, but it could also mean like a double meaning situation here. So obviously it is the desire nor the desire of women. So what they want,
Yes.
right? So like you said, they can't persuade him.
Right.
And then the other thing is too is that women were like I said in past videos. That was a hiccup, not a burp. Past videos is that they were often the oracles. And so they could also see that when the oracle spoke, it was often maybe like the women were kind of taking, privileges and saying, oh, the gods say, but in reality, the women were. I'm looking farther deep into the culture based upon the fact that it says, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women. So I'm just saying there's a possibility here, if you study the culture, that it could be also like a reference of the oracle of women, like entranced. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and well, here's an
Or it could
interesting
be
part.
what you said.
Here,
Or
well,
it
here-
could be asexual.
but here's actually
Or other things.
a possible clue
Mm.
here is that God is capitalized,
Mhm.
and
But what's the word?
Elohim. Neither shall he regard the Elohim of his fathers.
Mhm.
Is it possible that Antiochus actually was an Israelite, or
Or his fathers at least believed?
or that way back when in his line of
Descendants.
descendant or line of ancestors, he was from an Israelite? So maybe Antiochus was an Israelite because he didn't regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God. So
Because that's H433. But H430 is Elohim. Doesn't necessarily.
oh, but it's plural. Oh my
Right.
gosh, what is going on here?
That's the thing.
Bad translation.
Yeah.
Bad translation. Not the God of his fathers.
No, it's
the
the
gods of his fathers.
Yep.
You guys, you see?
See, I got that one right. I got really lucky. That was
You did.
lucky.
Well, because I said Elohim, and you're like, wait a minute, that's plural. Okay, good. We can breathe easy now. Antiochus was not an Israelite.
Okay. The Bible says for 27, he shall pay no attention to the gods of his father or to the one beloved by women. That's a better translation. Okay. Nor the desire of women. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Julie says perhaps this ties to his. You have to read it so far away from me.
Perhaps this ties to his exercise of power that undermines the abilities of women to be able to have the families that they desire. Sadly, history records horrific brutality perpetrated against pregnant women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very much possible. Yeah, because it might literally be that he is not regarding the desire of all women. You know, it's probably in the kingdoms of the earth then, as is now, that whenever a king or a ruler has utter disregard for women, we consider that the most evil of all kings. Ones that don't.
What? What did you just say?
Think about this.
Okay.
So, when a king persecutes his political enemies or warrior enemies, persecutes men,
Yeah.
we understand that to be
Okay.
bad, but a power game.
What?
But if a king sends out an army to now attack and kill women, or to kill pregnant women, or to kill the firstborn, we consider that to be
Like super
utterly evil.
Right.
So what I think Julia here is saying is that when it says he shall not, he had no regard for the desire of women, it might be talking about that he was utterly brutal and gave no regard whether someone was a woman or someone was a man. If he needed a particular outcome, he would act in brutality to get what he wanted.
Okay, so you see, we have a lot of different meanings here. I can't agree with that one because we have to look at the context of the sentence. Neither shall he regard the gods of his father, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god. Desires of women is thrown in there. It doesn't fit with the sentence. The sentence is talking about gods and worshiping of gods. So the desire of women doesn't really make sense as it's right. So nor the goodly, pleasant, precious delight of women. Susan Harris says, I take that to mean that God beloved by women.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear the word kemda, which is desire, kemda, nor the kemda
His delight
of women, and it's delight or goodly, pleasant, precious. So,
okay, hold on a second before you scroll.
Nashim, woman, Nashim is a woman, adulteress, each, every, female, together, wife, woman.
Okay, wait, move the mouse so I can see the thing. I don't know, man. This woman thing is really like thrown in the middle, like it's super awkward. It just doesn't work.
It does. I don't know. It to me, I'll tell you what. To me, it makes sense because I think men are ruled by. Men are ruled.
So you're saying it goes God and the woman for men. You're just like psychotic for women.
Men subordinate.
You are not. You're getting your man card taken away. You just told the whole woman world about our secret issue, and they did not know that. And now I have to take your man card publicly in front of everybody.
I think it's fair to say that men, to some degree,
Are
some
nuts
to
for
more,
women.
some less, subordinate their will, for the sake
it's
of the
called
desire
marriage,
of
man.
women.
You all
Yes.
do it. It's
Yes.
the reason why marriage is also known as being castrated or neutered, right? This is the whole thing, right?
I still have all my marbles. My
don't know
point
about
is
that.
not about the marbles. My point is about how one conducts his priorities, how one conducts what one decides he's going to do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of whether you have your marbles or not, generally speaking, your wife or your girlfriend is going to be an equation, part of the equation of you making choices. In the case of Antiochus, I believe it is saying nothing was part of the equation of his choices other than his own will. And that included any will of any god, any will of any belief in any god, and any will of any woman.
Wait. Julie says, perhaps this was better understood within the local religious culture. That's what I was saying earlier.
Yes, I
I
agree
think
that
this is a reference to the culture. Julie, I'm persuaded of what you're saying. And I think I think if you put what Susan Harris said, which is, I take that it means the God beloved by women. And I think also what Julie is saying, perhaps this was better understood within the local religious culture. Because most women were the ones who spoke for the gods, or who would be the ones who would be possessed by the gods, and then they would speak what the gods wanted people to hear. I think that that's what this is referencing, because it doesn't make any sense, the fact that it's gods,
well,
woman thing.
It doesn't make any
gods.
sense to you.
To me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I know. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for highlighting that sentence that I said.
Well, you say it doesn't make any sense. It's definitive. It makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to you.
In the sentence.
Yeah, no, even in the sentence, it makes sense to me. I do believe that.
Look, I'm just saying, though. I'm hearing you. Literally talking about gods. Technically, one word for the desire of women. Technically. Desire of gods, again, more about which gods he chooses, how he interacts with those gods, and how he uses the rule of those gods for the distribution of land. You have gods, one word for women, gods. There's nothing else here that is about anything other than gods. It's 5 sentences of just pure discussion of gods with one word.
Well, specifically, the first sentence, the first verse here, 1136, is talking about the God of gods. That's the Elohim of Elohims.
Yeah, but it's still a God sentence. That's my point.
This topic is about gods. It's about the God, right? He's speaking against him, right? It says that he's going to have crazy indignation. He's going to magnify himself above everything and speak against the one and only God. And then it says he won't have regard for anything his fathers taught him. He won't have regard for the desire of women. Perhaps it is cultural and about religion as well in his culture, perhaps. Nor have any regard for any god of any culture. And then he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. Now that is interesting, because from our understanding when we read, it sounded like it was saying the only thing he will respect is fortifications and armies and things like that.
Yeah,
right?
Basically the God that can actually protect him.
Yeah.
Or protect what he's built.
And yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we're all over the board.
Oh, we're not.
We are. I'm looking at the comments. We got people who agree with you that it has to do with men's desire of women, has to do with influence of men's desire by women, or influence of women's desires. And then we have people who are saying it's more of the women, the God influence directly with other gods in those cultures, influence with women. So yeah, we're all over the board, but it's good. It's good because when you have these conversations, you can move forward and you can say, this is the benefit of seeing all the different aspects and also seeing how it can, and talk this way. So it's not a salvation issue. It's not, it might play into later. So I think we should put it in the, sounds like a classic narcissist. I'm going to agree with Sherry on that for sure.
I agree. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah, the guy's out of his freaking mind.
I think that's the point being driven home here, is that he had absolutely no regard for anything
other than himself and his own status.
Exactly. Himself, his status, his desires, and the things that would protect and make strong his status.
Yes, his godly image.
Yeah.
And his remaining legacy.
Yeah.
He's out of control. I think Alex is.
I'm just reading, because he does seem to choose some kind of strange god that not even his parents knew, not even his fathers knew. So.
Right, it says that.
Anywho,
what if he invented it?
I think he makes himself a god.
That's
Didn't
what
we
I.
look at the coin where
Yeah.
he makes himself a deity?
Yes. Well, he was the first. He was the first one to use the epitaph of a deity on the coin,
Oh, so he proclaimed himself God.
pretty much. Because other than that, all rulers put their own face on the coin. So in a way, in this time period, he was the first to put his face on the coin. So it was very much like the Egyptians, who they put their face on the sphinxes and on the walls and considered himself a god or herself a god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does seem like that.
He's a little full of himself.
He's got a little bit of an ego problem.
Yep.
Might need medication for that.
Indeed.
You
So,
did great, though.
no, you did great.
I'm in agreement with a lot of what you said. I mean, you're really good. It
No,
could totally
you-
be exactly what you said. But the one thing we all agree on is this guy's out of control.
Yeah, I mean that part's obvious.
He's
right?
a little up on himself.
God of plumbing. Yes, he was into plungers. Daniel 12. Dina Christou, Daniel 12:1. At that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people. What a comforting verse. Not only is he a great prince, but God has appointed him to watch over and protect Israel. I can just picture him there, a great warrior with shield and sword ready for battle.
Bam.
Yeah, indeed.
Gilda 12:3, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. This passage makes me think of Nathan and Alex. Oh, Gilda's sweet to us. Thank you.
Gilda.
You guys are all sweet to us, but thank you very much. Or, Gilda says, it could mean that the Antichrist will have no sexual desire for women.
We did pick up on that it
that's what I
could be
said.
talking about,
He's asexual.
or yes.
That's what asexual means. You have no interest in sex with either sex.
Well, it doesn't say either sex. It just talks about women.
I know. I'm just saying.
I got you.
The Bible has not been shy about talking about men laying with men. So the fact that it doesn't mention it and only mentions that he's not interested in women,
if that's what that means.
If that's not what it means, yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So if we see that the Antichrist is asexual, and come back to Daniel 11, we can be like, bam, son.
Well, you know
what I mean?
I mean, just spitballing here. This
just
is totally
spitballing.
This is just, a thought occurred in Alex's giant head and bounced around in there, and it's now coming out of his mouth.
Have you ever seen the difference of the size?
It's a little large. Anywho, thought being that if the Antichrist of the future is in fact a man who is not interested in sex and
women
and at all, and proclaims his lack of interest in that and ascribes it to himself as a virtue, such as "Look at me, I'm holy," or "Look at me, I
don't even have the desire at all.
I have transcended my fleshy desires of sex, and now I'm this spiritual guru being thing, whatever he might call himself." That would kind of fit with Revelation. It would kind of fit, wouldn't it?
It would kind of fit.
It would kind of fit.
It would kind of fit.
Something to
put in your pocket. Boop. Man, it's applicable in so many ways. How many stones do we have in this video to put in our pocket? It's unbelievable.
We got lots of stones in our pockets.
Well, don't be bad. Okay,
Dina Christou, Daniel 12:10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. This verse really resonated with me, especially considering everything that is going on all around the world right now. For those who know Yeshua and his word, there is an understanding of where all of this is heading, the signs of the times, so to speak. The wicked, on the other hand, who choose to ignore God's law, seem to have no understanding whatsoever. Yep. I agree 100%, Dina.
Yes. And Anne, isn't Michael the only angel identified as assigned to a nation? The only one by name, yes.
Correct. He's the only one identified by name.
Yes.
I think there's an extra biblical idea that
Right.
comes from maybe the Book of Jubilees or one of those books. Talks about
Or yes,
one of
maybe
the
even Enoch.
maybe even Enoch, but there's 72 nations created after the
Mm.
Tower of Babel incident,
That's it.
and each nation received a head angel
To
to
oversee it.
oversee it. And yes, Michael is the only one who is given a name and mentioned in that way in the Bible.
Nope. Look at what Jennifer Connelly just said.
Jennifer Connelly, 77 weeks in real time. I don't think those weeks are 7 days.
Continue reading. We'll get back to that. And we can't forget Gilda too. We haven't gone back, even though that's in 11 and now we're in 12. But we'll go back to
we'll
it.
Go back.
We'll go.
Susan Harris, Sharon Lewis Roberts, Daniel 12, verses 11 and 12. I was thinking about these verses as it states 1,290 days from the abomination of desolation, but then says, Blessed is he who keeps waiting and attains to the 1,335 days. There appears to be a 45-day window. I'm not sure what this means, though. This is a gemstone.
Oh, is it? Dang it.
I think. Well,
I was thinking about other things.
I mean, a gemstone in your pocket.
Yeah, that's what I figured you meant.
Yeah, I do believe that.
Which one? What are you reading?
This one right here.
Oh,
That there's 1,290 days after the abomination of desolation, but then it says, "Blessed is he who keeps waiting."
yes.
And attains 1,300.
There is a gemstone with that.
35 days. So there's a 45-day window.
And some of you have heard me say that there is a certain thing that I don't talk about because it's my filter in regards to end times. I'm going to give a hint that what Sharon just said is a hint to that thing that I keep close to my hip, Izzy. That's my hint that you guys get.
I bet I probably have an idea of what you're saying, but I don't have that idea right now.
Wow, that is a fascinating sentence.
Right?
So you get it, but you don't get it now. But you know you got it somewhere in the depths of your brain that will surface when it is needed or known.
Right?
Okay, like it.
I mean,
good.
The Bible is teaching me how to talk into different time circles.
Mm-hmm. You can't say that though. You can't say circles.
Because circling back,
I don't know. I'm just trying to be cool like you and the other kids. I'm clueless. No, you're not, Julie. We're just probably confusing.
We're clueless.
I know.
Okay,
I'm just saying, put what she wrote down. You guys can write that down. Take Daniel 12, verse 11 through 12. It is indeed a gem to put in your pocket. If somebody is making, and I know somebody is, I don't know if it's Evelyn or who it was, but somebody's making a list of the gems to put in your pocket. What Sharon has written here is definitely a gem to put in your pocket. I do believe that this is a thing to keep in mind and make sure that you guys just hold on to, because I believe that this is more than just a cool numbering situation. That's all I'm going to say.
Pharaoh Matt, which Enoch is the book of Enoch? Is he from Cain or Seth? Because there are two Enochs, or is that another Mandela effect? Genesis chapter 4 and 5. No, the Enoch that's not from Cain. The Enoch from Seth. That's the book of Enoch. Gilda, it probably meant 70 times 7, 490 years. Yes, Gilda, you're onto something. I've seen some great looking.
It's Julie who's making the spreadsheet of the stones. Okay, thank you, Julie. Keep going.
Yeah, I've seen some great looking charts and things and explanations online, laying out the timeline with all of these numbers: 70 times 7, the 490 years, the week in which the Messiah is cut off. All that stuff is out there. I remember doing some research on this on my own a while back, and I remember feeling like some of that seemed pretty accurate, honestly. So I encourage you guys to do that on your own.
490 years is an accurate number.
Accurate number?
Yes. If you do research on the 490 years, you will see charts that will match up to that number. So
exactly. It'll take you from the time of Daniel to the time of the first coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following other times that are mentioned, I think it's 70 weeks, right? Or it's 69 weeks. It's the 7 weeks of Messiah and the 62 weeks otherwise. You put them together, and I think it takes you to the 70 AD war. So there's just a lot of stuff that totally lands with those numbers. Um, I'm glad we got a chance to mention that, because I know we're not going into that in depth, because that's just too much for a video. I mean, that really is kind of a sit down with yourself and enjoy studying that. So Susan Harris, Daniel 12, 12 to 13. Daniel 12, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days. I just love how, after all of the heaviness of the prophecies of the end times, that the book ends with a beautiful promise for Daniel and for all of us. Amen. I agree, Susan. Amen. It is a beautiful book. It's a beautiful way to end it.
It is.
And what's another thing we've noticed, or I've noticed, we've noticed together, and I've spoken about to Nathan, is that, you know, there are details here to give us hope and confidence that God's in control. All of these things are happening according to his plan and according to his will. But there's not a tremendous amount. There's a huge timeline skip. You know, if 11 is talking mostly about Antiochus and 12 jumps all the way to the end times, we see that there's quite a bit that seems to be missing in between. And but then there's little clues in here where he tells Daniel, shut up what you have seen and close that book, and it won't be revealed until the end times. So we don't know what sort of revealing is coming.
So will somebody find a hidden scroll, or will there be a scroll that won't be revealed or found until the end?
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Or will we have another prophet who comes forth and gives the word? Could be that too. Fill in the blanks. There's a lot of eat the scroll, don't tell anybody, this is not for you, but only for those in the end times. That also ties in with Revelations, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a lot of eating and don't tell, close up, don't share.
Yeah. Sharon Lewis Roberts, Daniel 12, verse 13. But as for you, go thy way in the end, then you will rest and rise again. Right, at the end of the age. Just my perception, but does this look like Daniel might be coming back as one of the two witnesses? Gem in the pocket. Maybe. I have a theory about.
Wait, what was it?
Daniel being one of the two witnesses, possibly, right? Because it's talking about him rising.
Hmm.
We know that it talks about everyone rising, really. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he's rising at the end doesn't necessarily point to him being a witness,
right?
One of the two witnesses,
because we all rise.
There's another hint about another hint about the two witnesses, that Daniel actually sees them. Maybe he sees two guys, one on each shore. But don't poke me with that knife.
You do not tell a secret of a revelation time just yet.
Okay. There's one more paragraph to read. Maybe it's in there. Just real quick, I'm not going to say who. I do have a theory about who the two witnesses might be. It's just a theory. Nathan, I'm sure, has one too. Maybe
you almost scared me. I thought you were going to say Nathan might be one. If I was like, please don't get me in trouble. I am not a Jew.
Okay, my theory is not
good
that anybody I know are those two witnesses.
Good.
That for sure includes,
at least right now,
everybody I know.
We live in America.
Yes. So don't worry about that. I'm not being cheeky because that's my theory. Oh, God forbid. I'm being cheeky because I don't want to, jump in and say it, because I believe we will get to all find out what we think about who the two witnesses are as we keep reading. Mm-hmm. Therefore, next sentence, Gildefoss, Daniel 12 to 13. Book of Daniel closes with these last words of love and assurance to Daniel. He would soon go to his rest in the grave to await the resurrection. But Yeshua, the life giver himself, promised him that he would arise to his inheritance, to eternal life and the joys of the redeemed. Daniel was certainly one of the wise, described by Gabriel in verse 3, and he will shine as a star forever and ever. The phrase, arise to your inheritance, is translated in the King James as stand in thy lot. It refers not only to Daniel's resurrection, but to the role Daniel would play in the last days when his book would be unsealed, studied, and understood. Yeshua ended not only with a personal assurance of the resurrection, with the promise that the great prophecies faithfully recorded by Daniel would be understood when the time came. Someday, if we're faithful, we will have the privilege of meeting and talking to Daniel. We will share with him and the righteous of all ages the eternal joys of the life to come. And the greatest joy of all will be to spend eternity with the one who spoke these closing words to Daniel. The one became the Son of Man that Yeshua might make us sons and daughters of God. May we all be there, that we might praise his holy name forever and ever. God bless everyone at Yeshua Network and all souls.
Damn, I agree with that. Amen to that.
I'm going to drop the mic for you, Gilda.
I can actually catch it. Oh, I caught it in real time, in real life. It's not like a thing where my hand is cut off because you cut me off in the video
Give
screen.
me the fist bump.
Okay.
Oh, I see Gilda and Julie taking shots at who the witnesses might be.
Okay.
I'm gonna zip it. I like what I'm zipping it.
Should we return back to Gilda's thing that you wanted to talk about later, since now we've covered everybody's comments?
Before we do that, did you want to mention
No.
a little clue there that you saw?
No.
That we saw?
Oh, yes, we should talk
The
about that. You're
changing
talking
of
about
the
the changing of
times.
the times, and yes, we should read that passage and just emphasize it so that it's brought to attention. This is the thing that we said that we would make sure you guys didn't leave, unknown. This is the thing that we wanted to talk about. So, did you find it?
No. Where was it? It
was
in 12?
Unbelievable.
Was it in 12
yeah, it
or
was
10?
12, right? It was 12 or 11? It was 12. Because it was in end times. It's 12. Yeah, there it is. Oh no, half
No.
the shall be. It's just scroll down. And he shall wait.
I think it's in 10.
Is it?
Yeah. No, not 10.
It's 12. Is
No,
it
it's
11?
not.
Oh, it's in the second half of 11.
What?
Remember 11 was split in half? Remember? First half was, and then the second half was.
Well, the second half was a lot about Antiochus. Right?
Yeah.
No, not in 11.
Well, then where is it, man? You can't lose your scriptures, okay? You got to remember this stuff. I told you to make notes.
They didn't tell me to make notes. I'm a bad student. I wouldn't make notes anyway.
We'll type in the word in the magnifying thing.
Hold on. It's got to be in 9.
Oh, that's it. You just literally landed on it. The judges, prayers. Is that it? Hold on. It plays a role later. You're gonna want to know this part, so don't go anywhere. Yeah, Julianne. I remember Nathan saying on another video, I can't tell you how many messages, meaning like emails on the Facebook I get.
Daniel 7:25.
Me saying I'm one of the witnesses and you are the other one. Yeah, I get those emails all the time. Totally not one of the witnesses. 70 weeks part is at. Okay, go ahead. Read it then.
So Daniel 7:25.
Mark, stone, gem, pocket. Got
and
it?
he shall speak great words against the Most High. This is the Antichrist, guys. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time.
But the thing to note here is not just the time period in which the 3.5 years is explained, but the fact that he thinks to change times and laws. Very important. So put that in your pocket for sure. But go ahead.
But real quick, we looked into it just so that we got to give him some context.
Sure.
The idea of
just
changing,
in case we don't talk about it later.
Yeah, the idea of changing time.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Is not at all uncommon
or new.
if you look up, for example, the French Revolution, one of the crazy things that the revolutionaries were very intent on doing was to destroy the Gregorian calendar of the past and to have a new calendar and to introduce 5-day weeks, which actually divides very nicely. 365 by 5 is what, 73?
3.
And we also looked at the possibility if you actually had 5 seasons instead of 4 seasons, you would have 73 days in each season. So 73 days in each season, 73 weeks in a year.
So it breaks up very nicely.
Point being that a future world ruler of the description that we are getting from the Bible could in fact say, these old calendars based on the Bible or old Christian religions, etc., are just not good enough anymore. The world needs a more scientific and a more exact and better calendar. So there you go, the changing of the times.
Which he would say because he wants to we're going to have to explain the whole thing just in case we don't come back to it. If you're going to open the can of worms, you got to go the whole distance.
You got to tell me where I didn't go because I don't know.
Well, why did they want to change it in the French Revolution?
Well, okay, I see what you're saying. So what are their motivations for changing it?
Right. Why would people want to change, let's say, the names of the days of the week? Why would you want to get rid of the words Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
The best way to create a new culture that is completely obedient to your every way, every law, every new thing you want to do with them, is to destroy their history or to make them ignorant of their history.
So like, for instance, what you would want to do, which every culture in history has done when a great empire has risen and completely smashed and taken over another culture, is they change absolutely everything they possibly can. They destroy the scrolls, they destroy the books, they destroy the statues, they destroy the any kind of anything that has a link to the past of that culture, so that it doesn't kind of bleed into the new culture that's being created. Which also means if you change the way that people speak, you change the way that people think. If you change the way that people perceive seasons, the way that they say days, right? You are forcing people to embrace a whole new way of being one new culture. They are authentically speaking and behaving and interacting and saying, okay, it's like a unifier. It really unifies and also washes clean the past. So you want to get rid of the most simple things that we share in our past. Saying the days of the week, sharing the names of the months. If you change those things and you give a whole new mindset about them, the culture that will rise up during that time period will have no ties and no references to the culture before. So it's a way of cleansing. And in this situation, in the French Revolution, they did it because it was an atheist movement trying to cleanse the Christianity of the culture, because it was a very heavy Christian culture. So it would make sense when you do look at history and you do look at the different cultures that have wanted to change days, names, times, and seasons, it was to erase or eradicate culture. So if you think that we live in what is accused by many atheists, that we live in a Christian-based, heavily, influenced culture, even though the days are named after pagan gods, but they do.
Not in all languages. Some languages the names are not.
I'm talking about English. Yes, you are correct. So other cultures, they're actually Christian-based names. Or words, if you, whatever you want to call it. So this is just something that the Bible is mentioning here in 725 of the Antichrist would do. And it's interesting to think that this is something that has always been done by total brand new, recreate new culture leaders.
And Jennifer is bringing it back to the Bible very well. That's why we must read our Bible on festivals and communion.
Yep.
Do this in remembrance of me. Yeah.
Yep.
When we mark times, when we celebrate holidays, we are literally going through the process of remembering why they're there. And it shapes our culture and it shapes the way we relate. So yeah. Yep. So you can count on the baddie of the future to want to obliterate or destroy erase
any signs
any signs of Christianity, for example.
or our current existing culture.
Yeah. And they're going to say, "Oh, why do we have 7 days in the week?" I mean,
That's
I'm
from the
not
Bible.
this is not exactly. This is not me prophesying or anything. I'm just saying this
It
makes
might
sense
be.
to me.
It
Might be.
I'm
Why
just
do it might be right. Why do we have 7 days in the week? Why not have a better number that is easier to deal with or better for computers or God knows what, right?
and
So,
actually divides up the
and
seasons
actually,
accurately.
yeah, that divides them up into at least whole numbers, right?
Right. Well, that's what I mean by
Yeah.
will say accurately, like
Yeah.
where you don't need a leap year.
Yeah, so you could totally see them messing with that to make things more precise and you know, to throw off the shackles of
The mind shackles of the Christendom that comes into the
yes.
atheist's mind and hinders us from being free from the Christian way. Oh, sorry, I was getting into character. I was just really messing
Oh,
back.
that was great.
It was good. Okay. So yeah, interesting, huh? Just
Yeah.
something to keep aware of, folks.
So as we promised, going back to Gilda's comment. So Gilda, I don't know how you feel about this comment now that we've kind of gone through and discussed more things about what
11.
people are seeing in 11. But I think let's take a quick look at verse 2, for example. You say, "This verse describes the current ruling kingdom, Persia. This corresponds to the bear of chapter 7 and the ram of chapter 8. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer, and they all, and by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Greece."
Okay, well now let's go to the passage she's talking about, chapter 8.
Well,
Seven.
so here I would say I agree with you about the ram of chapter 8, but I'm not sure that the bear of chapter 7 is uh is about this.
Well, because it does say the 3 ribs, which might be where you're going with it, but it doesn't ever say there's a fourth.
Right. Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then for example, the verse 3 now, this begins the description of the kingdom of Greece, which corresponds to the male goat of chapter 8. I would agree with that. But you also say it corresponds to the leopard of chapter 7. And again, I don't know why. Why would it I don't see a clue there that necessarily tells me it does say 4 heads and 4 wings, which is what the Empire of Greece does become. So it's possible. So I think maybe some of these ideas also go back to the idea that Rome is the horrible metal beast. But Rome is now gone, long gone, and we're still here. The Messiah has not returned.
But
And
is it long gone?
there could be a see, gem in the pocket.
There was a part of Rome that survived. Still alive to this.
Yes, there was.
But I guess what my brother here is trying to say is that while we see what you did there, it may be that this might be a thing where if it is, it might be a thing where it applies twice. Because we know that this is an end time thing and Rome is no longer around as Rome was. So that's what you're trying to say?
Yeah. I don't think that I think Rome actually is a very good precursor to the foreshadowing. Thank you. Very good foreshadowing. Just like Antiochus is a perfect sort of foreshadowing of the Antichrist to come.
So is Nero, which a lot of people will make the argument if you're watching this video and you're a Nero is the Antichrist kind of guy. Yes, he was an Antichrist, but he wasn't the Antichrist.
And in fact, even the Nazis had Roman iconography and sort of they connected themselves. The Reich connected themselves to the Roman
Third Reich.
Right.
Not the only Reich.
Well, that's
I know. Yeah. Funny.
So they consider themselves kind of a successor to the Roman Empire. So yeah. Anyway, I think these are all really good ideas, Gilda. My point is basically as I'm not necessarily sure that we can say that the leopard is Greece. We can definitely say the male goat is Greece because they tell us it's Greece, right? The angel or Gabriel, I believe, explains to Daniel, "Let me explain the vision of the two goats and the goat and the ram." And he explains that the ram is basically Persia and that the goat is the king of Greece. So he
Right.
explains it.
So are these two animals, the goat and the ram, have anything to do with the other animals? I think that that's probably where maybe the confusion would lie, is that because we're getting a part of this book, Daniel's book, where it's talking about animals, we're assuming that all the animals are meaning this time period. That am I picking up also what you're saying here?
Maybe, yeah, but I think basically, if I was going, if you were gonna ask me what my, you know, opinion is, Daniel's
No,
vision. Yeah, no,
just
nobody cares. Uh, chapter 7.
That's
That was a
fine
good
right
one.
there. That was
Well
good.
done. Chapter 7. I believe is feels to me like it might actually be material to things that have not yet happened, or if there's anything that has already happened, uh, those things are just foreshadowing to the things that will happen.
Mm.
And it feels to me that chapter 7 is giving us some clues that we might be able to decipher now if we try, or at least we might have an opinion on. But generally, chapter 7 is about things that have yet to come. Chapter 8, I believe, are things that have already come. And the vision is explained to Daniel in chapter 8 too. So those are my 2 cents about it. Is that confusing enough?
Maybe. It makes sense to us because we've done research together on it, right?
Right.
And we've talked about it for many hours.
Right.
We're totally talking possibly in ways where I think some people will
Well,
know.
we don't want to come out and say,
Jennifer Connelly, lions and tigers and bears.
oh my, we don't want to come out and say what we think the tiger and what we think the lion.
Especially before we get to Revelation.
Yeah,
I am definitely, I can definitely say that I believe that these things will be explained in Revelation as well. There's a lot of what we see in Daniel's writings. There's a lot of what we see in the Old Testament that resurfaces. There's even like the number of chariots and horses. There's things that totally coincide and totally correlate that we're going to get confirmation in Revelations by John's writing. So I know that we could talk about it for forever. It's just kind of like the book of Genesis. When you talk about end time stuff, if you're not bringing in the future chapters, you have a lot of open-ended things. So it's best for us when we don't have enough information to kind of just sit on it and just kind of see what the Bible reveals. And the chapters coming between now and the New Testament is a lot of the prophets, and they talk about end time stuff, and they talk about Second Temple period stuff, and all that fits into knowledge of why this will make sense later. So yeah, I know we're not trying to like keep anything, guys. We're not trying to hide anything, nor are we even proclaiming that we know for sure. What we're saying is that we do know enough information, or I do from reading ahead or reading this so many times, that we are together going to learn a lot more about this information. So it's kind of a little bit of speculation if we go only based on this. In order for to fill in the blanks or to discuss it any further, I'm going to have to, or any of us would have to go forward into scripture. So I feel that it's best to just wait till we get to those scriptures.
Yeah. So
it's good though. So
it's
yeah.
good. And at some point, even after we get to those scriptures, there might be some speculation. But at that point, we will have read all the scriptures, and at that point we can openly say, okay, this is a mystery, we're going to speculate. But right now, if we speculate, too early. There might be things that we're still going to read that are going to reveal it. I just said exactly what Nathan said. And
it's okay.
In 2 sentences.
You've never done that before.
Never, ever. Because what?
Okay, good stuff, guys. Praise the Lord. Listen, this is great. Daniel's a book we could spend thousands of hours on. I mean, if you really want to, if you want to break down every word. But we're really blessed that you guys did such a great job, and you do such wonderful research. And I think we have definitely covered all the gems that will be definitely important in the future. So thank you very much for a job well done, and thank you for the time. And also, thank you for the patience with last week. And as you can see, I'm in Tennessee. I can't 100% confirm 100%, but It looks like I might be. Moving here maybe in the not so distant future, not 100%, but like a 90%, 95%. I'll be moving here, and this guy's going to have to actually put up with me a lot more. And we'll actually be back in person in these videos as we enter into 2021. And before we log off tonight, I do want to invite everybody to the New York, New Jersey meetup. I know that it's time away from your family, your friends, your neighborhood, whatever, but it's on the weekend. It's a Saturday, Sunday meetup. It's a 2-day meetup. There's no charge. We don't have tickets, nothing like that. There's a minimum of a $10,000 donation. It's not a big deal. Anybody can do it. I'm kidding. There's no donation requirement, guys. But I do hope that you guys will come because you're so wonderful and awesome. And having your fellowship and your presence there means a lot. And also, it's a great way for you to meet other believers who are of the same mindset and the same convictions, and just really wonderful people who come out to these meetups. Everybody who's been to one can testify that they've met friends, and really, there's just a thing that you can't explain, right? Am I right? You just can't explain what happens at these meetups, and every single one is different. So if you've also been to one before, you're going to have a totally new experience. It's not like a cookie cutter. There's not like a bullet point kind of formula of when you show up, we're going to talk about the same topics. It's more of a barbecue-ish fellowship, pray, testify. Everybody shares, not like I share, just Alex share. No, it's you guys. You can. Nobody's put on the spot. You can if you want, but it's really just a meet people and discuss things, and we do open Q&A in real life, and it's really blessed. We have baptisms that we offer, of course, as well. And we always have, like, it seems like we always have, anywhere from 8 to like 10 to 15 baptisms. It's amazing. So I do hope that you guys will show up. And if you're watching this video recorded, as I always say when I mention this part, go to the Facebook page or plug into the .com if it's up, and go check out to see when the next meetup is and where it is so that you can attend, even if this is a recorded video and you're watching it years later. Because hopefully we're still having meetups by then. Actually, we should be having a lot more meetups. And then, so hello to you people in the future. Hopefully you'll find a meetup near you. Right?
I'm
We
just
time traveled,
I'm
dude.
grinning right now.
Why?
Because it's been a while since we've done the video in person,
I
and
know.
it feels so good.
So nice.
Feels so good. Not that our videos,
Because I can look at you.
over the internet are terrible or anything, or a bad experience.
They're pretty bad.
Well,
sorry for anybody who has to watch them.
But
this
feels good.
Because
this is how it started.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
This is how we do it. It's Wednesday night.
If the Lord's willing.
The Lord is willing.
Maybe. When the New Testament is dropping down in the EBRT, we'll be back in person again.
Yes'm. So, be blessed.
And be the blessing.
See you in New Jersey, New York, or any other meetup that you may be able to attend. Also, go to Yeshuans and tune in on our Zoom calls when we get those up and running too. I don't know. I think that's good. You got anything else?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Yeah, we love you. Yeshua loves you. We could keep going.